Hi, my name is Sean Cypus, and today my issue on policing will be about speeding on our roads. Basically, the issue I'm trying to press forward is that we're all guilty of speeding at one point in our lives. I can't speak for everybody, but for the most part, it's true. We've all broken at least one regulation and rule of the road in terms of how fast we're driving, and that's just foreseeable. So how do we get all these people to better comply with the rules of the road, and better yet, pay up for their fines and do their civic duty of being responsible for their actions? So first I'm going to give some government statistics on speeding between 2002 and 2004. More than 700 people were killed as a result of speeding, and around 3,500 were seriously injured as a result of speeding. 25% of deaths from vehicles are a result of speeding. 85% of those involved in those fatal crashes were under the age of 45. And 40% of those drivers involved in those fatal accidents are also under the age of 24. And those are just some of the numbers I'm going to give you. The rest will be in my lesson plan. But we're basically seeing an increase since 2002 and 2004 in the number of deaths as a result of. And basically they're finding that younger people are more responsible for speeding and speed-related deaths and vehicle crashes in Canada. Basically, to give you an example of how fast we should be going on our roads in Canada, in a residential area it should be no more than 30 to 50 kilometers per hour, reaching all the way up to highway, which is 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. But what we're finding is most people aren't obeying these speed limits that are posted. So besides from deaths and vehicle crashes as a result from speeding, how else does it affect us? So there's a program in Etobicoke where they're trying to put their foot down when it comes to speeders and chronic speeders on the residential areas. And it's basically saying if you go over 50 kilometers per hour in one of these areas, then there's going to be punishment coming your way, because what they're finding is that it really does detract from the quality of life in that area. And the reason they're trying to put their foot down when it comes to speeding is because it really does detract from the quality of life on the street. It doesn't allow the children to play. It's not really safe. It's not a safe environment, and it really separates the one side of the street from the other. People are scared to cross the street. But what it mostly does, it causes us to pay normally high tax rates for speed collision victims, and as well it raises our insurance. And what they're trying to say is that a couple bad apples sets the standards in terms of insurance premiums for newcomers to driving, let's say ages 20 to 25, because it raises insurance premiums for them because they're looked at as reckless driving. And on the topic of young people and young drivers comes street racing, which on December 15, 2006, Bill C-19 was introduced to help combat street racing. And basically, street racing is just another form of speeding, and it's just another example of breaking the rules and regulations. And basically what Bill C-19 is trying to do is abolish street racing by giving harsher punishments. If you're found to have killed somebody from a form of street racing, then basically you're looking at possibly life imprisonment. And basically, to give an example of how big of a problem street racing is, since 1999 in the Greater Toronto Area alone, 34 people have been killed as a result of street racing. And what I like about Bill C-19 is that it punishes repeat offenders of street racing by taking away their driving privileges for life. On to a new topic now. Nobody likes getting speeding tickets, but how can that officer that gives you that speeding ticket save your life? A study shows that 35% of people who receive speeding tickets later in the months to follow are less likely to be involved in fatal car accidents. They're trying to say that nobody likes getting speeding tickets, but look at it as a way of trying to prevent yourself from being seriously hurt, because there's a reason for tickets, and that's one of the reasons. And in that sense, it's deterrence. The data from this study suggests that for every 80,000 tickets, a death is prevented. From every 1,300 convictions, an emergency room visit is avoided. For every 13 tickets, $1,000 in health care and insurance premiums are saved. So in a sense, they are trying to say that the data is saying that it's an effective way of saving people's lives when it comes to car crashes, that deterring speeders is one way we could actually help fight deaths. Which moves me into my new topic of basically how we get these people to pay, basically how we deter them through the use of tickets. How does it actually work? Do people actually pay their tickets, and do people actually get deterred from speeding after they're caught? Well, that's what we're going to look into. So basically, the fines you're going to be looking at from a ticket, these are pulled from Alberta, but it's pretty much similar from province to province. But let's say you're speeding in Alberta, so 30 kilometers over the speed limit is a $177 ticket there. $264 for 40 kilometers over the limit, $351 for 50 kilometers over the limit, and and fines are doubled if it's in a school zone or construction zone or passing an emergency vehicle. So what was this problem I was trying to present with policing and speeding and tickets? Well, the problem here with involved with speeding and police officers is that they're giving out all these tickets, but no one's real. So in that sense, can we really look at it as a deterrence if nobody's actually paying these tickets? Well, at least most of these people aren't paying their tickets. Is it really a deterrence in that sense? And one of those examples of people not paying their tickets lies right here in Ontario itself, where $1 billion in unpaid tickets are owed to the province of Ontario. And if you look at those numbers, that's huge. What they're trying to say is basically these people that aren't paying, basically it comes back to the taxpayers, and they end up paying for expenses that should have been generated from the revenue. What police are having a hard time is getting these people to actually pay. Nobody's actually paying. There's no mechanism right now for making these people pay their fines. They just basically could throw them out, and that's a problem, especially if they're living outside. Basically, the only deterrence we have right now is that for not paying your fines, you could lose your license. You could lose demerit points on your driver's license, but the thing is you get them back, so that's not really deterring people. They don't really care. So the issue is who's going to collect these fines, especially if the people move out of the province. For example, you get 3 tickets on the 401, and you could just throw them all out, because as soon as you're out of the province, there's no one to collect these tickets, and that's mainly what's happening here. But in most cases, it's still people in the province just not paying their fines, and you know what, they could take the license away, but they get it back. They'd rather not pay those fines. And then what we find is, hey, everybody's seeing that no one's paying these fines, no one really cares about them. So what real impact do they have on us? So most people just continue to speed, knowing that, hey, most likely they're going to get away with it. And this causes a huge issue with the police. They're basically just wasting their time issuing these tickets, and it really is hurting not only the police budget, but the taxpayers' revenue. And in that same article, it says there's more than 500,000 rules and regulations for the roads in the province of Ontario alone, and simply their problem is that they have a lack of people to enforce them all. So back to people leaving the province as soon as they receive a ticket, or they have several tickets and they leave the province. This is a big issue we see actually with Americans, mostly people from Michigan coming across the border to Canada. What we see is that the province of Ontario alone has issued 3,600 tickets a year on average for motorists from Michigan, and about 3,200 of those tickets are for speed. And basically, the problem here is that there's no real relations between most Canadian provinces and most American states where we can't uh, track people down for these tickets and get them to pay. And basically, what they're trying to say is where a driver's from shouldn't determine where the rules of the road apply there. So now we see the issue. Basically, police are just wasting their time issuing these tickets, which aren't coming up with results. That's a huge amount of money being owed, and that's a lot of money that taxpayers are going to have to make up for. So not only are we seeing people getting killed as a result of speeding and street racing, but also basically we're losing out on profit here, and it's a real issue for the police when they're just wasting their time and really coming up with no results, and we just get more and more people speeding on our roads. And when there are no consequences really, then nobody really everybody just looks the other way basically when it comes to speeding. They don't really care. They don't have any uh, regard for the regulations. And so what do I think I should do or we should do to resolve this problem? Well, first I think that at least for young drivers, which this is mainly portraying towards, because most of them are actually the ones involved in speeding and fatal speeding accidents, that they're mostly heavily influenced by television or ads of some sort, and if we can use the media to portray that speeding is bad, then I think that would really help the cause, because I don't see enough or anything or any ads on TV about. I think we gotta make people aware of the dangers and consequences of speeding, and that being able to drive is really a privilege, and operating that motor vehicle is in a safe and effective manner is really crucial in the safety of yourself and others. I think that making people aware through mediums like TV and newspapers is really important, to name a few. But also, I think that there should be some more harsh deterrences in the form of suspending licenses and provoking people of driving privileges. I don't think the punishments are harsh enough. I mean, for parking in Ontario, they take much more strict punishments if you actually do not pay your parking fees, and they do this by not allowing you to renew your license plate. I think that should also be taken into consideration with speeding, because there really is no deterrence right now, or very little. By doing this, we are letting people know that this is a serious issue and there is no room for speeding, and that it is being taken seriously and there will be consequences for doing it. Also, effective example I saw of making people aware of the issue of speeding was using a recognizable figure like Paul Tracy, who's a Canadian F1 driver who made an announcement the day before the Canadian Grand Prix that speeding really wasn't as cool as it seems. I really like the use of recognizable figures being used to make people aware of issues, and I think that really does drive home the point, and it really does get through to people. So I think that is a really effective way, and I think it should be looked into. So to summarize, the issue of speeding, it goes back to the police in terms of tickets not really being used effectively. They really do have no effectiveness or deterrence right now, and it really does cause a problem, because all we're seeing is more people speeding day to day, and really resulting in more accidents and fatalities, and just more dangers on our roads.